bitcoinsoul.org, bitcoinseoul.org, for active Bitcoin investors with over 50 Bitcoin in play. Okay, so the recent questions that I've been getting include, how do you know Bitcoin's going to fall? If it's going to fall, how low it's going to fall? And how do you know if it's going to happen in the next 4 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours? Or how do you know it's going to happen at 4:17 p.m. Korea time, which is going to be 3:17 New York City time? How do you know these things? Are they just wild guesses, or are they based on something? They're based on something, and I'm going to attempt to explain as quickly as possible what they're based on. Okay, so first of all, there are macro issues and then there are micro issues. There are issues of the hour, and then there are issues of the day, and then there are issues of the week or month. You know how sometimes everything goes right in your life, where all the green lights pop, and you can go through all the green lights. You arrive to work, and you actually get a compliment. Next thing you know, the boss calls you into his, no, the boss comes to your desk, and in front of everybody says, you know, you deserve a raise. That is micro, local, and macro, right? This is months of work that you've done that the boss approved you for, and then you get compliments for the days of work that you did, and then you got green lights for your perfect timing. That's how Bitcoin goes up. And that's also how Bitcoin goes down. If you get demoted, you get you get less pay, your girlfriend dumps you, and then your wife divorces you, and then you get all the red lights. These are macro factors, and then they're micro factors. If they all happen to coalesce, so basically there's huge sine waves, okay? And then there's smaller sine waves, and then there's tiny little sine waves. If these waves all happen to converge at one point, you've got an extraordinary event. That's how Bitcoin works too. It's the same thing with every aspect of your life. It works that way. Okay, so let's start with a micro scale. All the green lights or all the red lights happening. Right now, all the red lights are happening to Bitcoin. What are these red lights? Well, today it is, noon Korea time, which makes it 11:30 New York City time, which makes it 5:30 in the morning in Paris. When the Europeans get up, they tend to sell off. You have to understand this. There are bullish markets and then there are bearish markets. So let me destroy those words and say there are cultures and people living in certain time zones and countries that like to sell, and that like to take tiny little profits. 3% is a lot of money, 5% is a lot of money. And then those are called the bearish people. They sell as soon as they can. And that's Europe. Europe's not up yet. The bullish people are the New Yorkers. The New Yorkers, hey, there's money to be made. Let's invest more. Let's invest more. They're very progressive in that way. The FOMOing full-on retards, I'm sorry, but they're Asia. And thanks to Asia, we've got Bitcoin up to $5,000 almost. So it's bullish FOMO. It's a fear of missing out. It's not actually all that bad a thing, especially if you can hold and double, triple your money, right? You can start seeing the Europeans start moving around. It'll start getting busier over this video. So I'm not saying it'll be today. I'm not saying it'll be tomorrow. It may be today, it may be tomorrow, it may be the day after. But what I'm saying is that it'll happen during this time zone in the next 3 or 4 hours from the time of this recording, right around 1 a.m. New York City time, right around 4 p.m. Europe, 5 p.m. Europe, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Europe time, and 4 p.m. Korea time. Why? What's going to happen? The bulls are going to fall asleep in New York. And the Asians, the Koreans who happen to run 60% of the Bitcoin Cash volume and 60% of the Ethereum volume, I'm not kidding you, it's huge. And even the Bitcoin volume coming out of Korea, the buy and sells in Korea are bigger than the buys and sells in China. Look it up in CoinMarketCap. While the FOMOing full retards are busy trying to get off work, trying to beat traffic and driving. They work until 6 or 7, so they got 3 or 4 hours left, but they're trying to wrap up work. And then while the Americans go to sleep, the only people you have left on this planet are the bears, the Europeans. They're going to wake up and say, oh, Bitcoin went up, let's sell it down. Oh, my altcoins went up, let's sell it down. That's what happens. Those are local factors, and it happens right around this time period when Asia is incapacitated and America is sleeping, and Europe happens to be just about ready to wake up and be as peppy as possible. So micro factors are bear. They're bearish. They're looking downwards. But that's nothing a bigger trend can't push, right? So let's go into the macro factors and see what the macros are doing. Macro factors. For the last 5-6 weeks, Bitcoin, the RSI, Relative Strength Index, has been maxed out. It's been over 70. I'm not talking stochastic RSI, I'm just talking regular RSI. What does that mean? Well, RSI is Relative Strength Index. How do you know how strong the market is? Well, it's a historical calculation. It's basically just a big math formula that says, in the past, people bought and sold this much Bitcoin, and the price went up or down this much. Okay, so what's happening now? Are more Bitcoin being bought and sold now than before? Is the volume going up or down? And so it's kind of like me holding this camera. My relative strength index goes up as I hold this camera longer, and my arm starts to hurt more. So what ends up happening? The camera starts shaking more, right? The camera starts getting really unstable, and then what happens? The camera falls. It's exactly the same thing with Bitcoin. Well, why does the relative strength index go up as the price goes up? Because all the people that entered were to enter Bitcoin, that were to go and enter Bitcoin. Well, actually, that goes into the macro factors. So let's stay in the local factors right now. Check. The last time Bitcoin had its RSI up above 70 for more than 4 or 5 weeks, what happened afterwards? It's really simple. Just look at the weekly graph. Don't look at the daily. Don't look at the 1-minute Bitcoin graph because that's too micro. Look at the macro. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. And you'll actually see that, hey, whenever the RSI is, and RSI is really simple to find. Just go to tradingview.com or some website that actually has RSI, because Bittrex doesn't have it and Poloniex doesn't have it. Learn to look at these graphs like a professional. It's not hard. This is like 40%, 30% of the equation, and it'll save you 30% of your losses, and it'll make you 30% of your gains. So RSI is about 30% of the equation. 50% of the equation is probably fundamentals, maybe 60%. So you've only got, what, 10, 20% left to learn. Okay, moving along. Last time this happened, RSI was over 70. And I'm not going to show you a graph because I'm just not. Go look it up. It drops and it plummets. It drops severely. And when Bitcoin drops, you know the relationship between Bitcoin and altcoin. Bitcoin scares people and altcoin just freaks people out. So altcoins drop double the percentage that Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin drops 10%, altcoins will drop 20, 25%. That's just how it works. That's just how it works, folks. So, and then when Bitcoin goes up 10, 20%, altcoins go up 30, 40, 50%. But altcoins are going to be about 1/2 a sine wave behind. So they're not going to go up concurrently at the same time. That's another video. We'll have to go into that later. Okay, so those are the local factors. Every couple weeks, or for 5 or 6 weeks, if the RSI is really high, you've got 5 or 6 weeks of downward trend. And right now that's where we're at. We've got 5 or 6 weeks of super high RSI. Okay, now let's look at the macro. When was the last time the media talked about Bitcoin? $3,000. When the media talked about Bitcoin, it was when it hit $3,000. But remember, it didn't just hit 3,000. It almost hit and then it failed, right? And the media talked about it. And then when it hit 3,000, the media talked about it a lot. So what does that mean? That means that we haven't talked about Bitcoin in the media, in the public consciousness, for weeks now. Ironically, it's the same number of weeks that the RSI has been super high. Think about that for a second. Why would the RSI be super high the moment Bitcoin hits the media? Because the last time Bitcoin hit the media was when it was at 1,000. So all the people from 1,000, it's a limited number of people. Did you jump into Bitcoin or did you jump into cryptocurrency when it hit $1,000? No, you probably jumped in when it hit $3,000, didn't you? You just bought in when it was $3,000. When these things happen, a brand new influx of fresh new cash comes into the market. And when fresh new cash comes into the market, it tends to go, hey, well, let's go all in. And then if it goes down a little bit, let's sell half or let's sell all and buy again. And you do this 3 or 4 times until you get burnt 3 or 4 times. And just like my arm, your strength index goes up. The more you have to use more and more strength. It's not that you have more and more strength. It means that you're actively using, consuming, burning more and more strength. So you can't help but make the camera fall, is what's happening to Bitcoin. And it corresponds, the local factors of 4 or 5 weeks with a high RSI corresponds perfectly with the last time Bitcoin was in the media and brought in fresh new dollars. So, oh, sorry, I forgot to pause the camera. Okay, so when is the RSI going to go down? Well, either two things got to happen for RSIs to go down. For your relative strength to stop being exhausted or spent. You hear the cars starting to pick up now? Number one, either the price of Bitcoin has to fall and everyone's got to pull out of the market and put their money back in their, I was going to say pants, but their wallet. Then you're not expending any energy, just like me putting my camera in my pocket. Or we hit $5,000 and fresh new money comes in. If we do that, now we've got fresh new strength. And then we can head to $8,000. But think about this for a second. How long did it take you to send money to Bittrex? How long did it take you to get money inside Poloniex? If Bitcoin hits $5,000 and the media hits it the very same day, can you buy Bitcoin immediately? What happens during that gap? When everyone's exhausted and everyone's pulling their money out and fresh new money can't get in very quickly at all. That's what's happening to Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin may hit $5,000. It may, but if it does, it's going to hit the media, and it's going to be hard to sustain because there's no fresh new money yet, unless there are banks and funds waiting in the wings that we don't know about. So there's always a joker. There's always a wild card playing. But the safe bet is right now, since there's so many variables, the safe bet is just to sell. And wait until the new money comes in. When the new money comes in, play off of that, as opposed to playing off the question mark of will the new money come in, when will the new money come in, and what if the new money doesn't come in? Actually, the chances of the new money not coming in is higher because new money, if it's smart money, is going to stay out until the new money that's dumb money comes in. Okay, so long story short, Bitcoin is weak. It's going up in price right now because everyone's spending their last penny and borrowing money from their girlfriend and selling their bicycles to buy Bitcoin. But unless we get fresh new people into Bitcoin, the price isn't going to go up and the RSI isn't going to go down. And we need the RSI to go down for a sustained rally of several weeks. But right now the RSI is so high, and it's been that high for 4 or 5 weeks. In the last 3 times that the RSI has been this high, we've had 5-6 weeks of just downward action, of losses and losses and losses. And we're repeating that exact same thing right now. So if fresh new money doesn't come in now, or didn't come in the last time, and the time before that, and the time before that, it's really a long shot to say it's going to come in this time and become the fresh new money RSI messiah. BitcoinSoul.org, SEOUL.org.